Okay. As Linda said, my name is Tim Lauder. I am the manager of multifamily sales for Lightcurve, which is the old Click network in Tacoma. We serve Pierce and now portions of Thurston County, as well as over the mountain in Sela, Kittitas County. So we will begin with opening statements. As Linda said, you have up to 3 minutes to introduce yourself. Ryan, you've won the coin flip, so please introduce yourself.
I'm not sure this is working.
Is it turned on?
Hello? There we go. Thank you. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. It is really good to be here with you all. My name is Ryan Mello, and I'm running to serve as the next Pierce County Executive. I really want to thank the Lakewood Chamber for all the coordination to bring us together. You know, having opportunities to share ideas and meet folks face to face and have conversation with our neighbors about the future of our county and our community is just so important. So thank you for all the energy, not only for tonight in creating an environment where we can have civil dialogue together, but what you do truly all year round to help support, especially the small business community here in Lakewood. Again, my name is Ryan Mello, and I currently chair the Pierce County Council. So I come from the legislative branch of government. And what that has really taught me is where there are so many different opportunities to continue to make progress, to bring communities together, to help address the major issues that are facing all of us. You know, just a little bit about me. I moved here in 1997. I moved from Hawaii. Why would I move from Hawaii? I moved and stayed to go to college, and quickly fell in love with this beautiful place after moving here. And soon after college, I joined the AmeriCorps program, the Domestic Peace Corps program, and that really set my my lifelong commitment to public service. So I did my United Way, my AmeriCorps program at the local United Way, helping young people get into a lifelong ethic of giving back was my charge. I've had the great honor of serving on the Metro Parks Tacoma Board of Park Commissioners, the Tacoma City Council, and now the Pierce County Council. And that very experience has really helped me really learn how to work with different units of government, local government, tribal government, state and federal government. And we have just so many issues that are challenging our community that I'm really energized to work on, that, it's not Lakewood's sole purpose and sole responsibility to address the homelessness crisis or the opioid crisis or our affordable housing crisis. These issues, right, they don't know boundaries of local government. And really when we work together on a regional basis, we're able to find economies of scale to these major solutions, these major problems that are facing us. And so I'm a really practical policymaker, and that's why I think have earned the endorsement and trust of folks like Lakewood Mayor Jason Whalen, folks like our Congresswoman here, Madam Strickland, Derek Kilmer, and many other Democrats, Republicans, and Independents. So I'm looking forward to our conversation this evening.
All right. Well, good evening. I'm happy to introduce myself. I'm Kelly Chambers, running to be your next Pierce County Executive and a proud member of the Lakewood Chamber. Been a member for many years, and appreciate that you always put these candidate forums on. I remember sitting out there watching candidates and had no aspiration of running for office, so it's a little weird to then be sitting on the other side of the table. So I grew up in Tacoma and from the east side, but I've built my life and career in this community. I've ran my businesses for the last 20 years in Oregon and Washington. I own Visiting Angels home care agencies and have been operating those and helping families care for their loved ones. In addition to my business experience, I've had the honor of serving the last 6 years in the state legislature, where I hold a leadership position as the vice chair of the House Republican Caucus. I am the assistant ranking member on the Appropriations Committee, and so that committee oversees the operating budget, which is a $65 billion budget. Then I'm also the ranking member on the Regulated Substances Committee. And so I've faced challenges in my life, but I've overcome a lot of those things, having grew up in poverty in Tacoma, been a teen mother, and had an incarcerated parent. But overcoming those challenges has really, built me for this job, combined with my business experience to be the next Pierce County executive. I'm proud to share that I have a lot of support, both Republican, Democrat, and independent support, and people trust me with my kind of pragmatic, common sense approach to solve some of the problems that we all know that this community is facing with regards to homelessness, public safety, energy affordability. So I'm committed to running a county that is responsible and transparent, and that we have a sustainable and accountable budget with your next executive. So I'm not sure where we're at with time, Linda.
You still got a minute if you'd like to chat.
Okay. No. I will just say real quickly on the sustainable budget piece, since there's a minute left. This is the issue that really puts Pierce County at a fork in the road. What does the future of this county look like? We've had great leadership with our current executive, and Pierce County is different than other places around us. Pierce County is different than Tacoma, Seattle, and King County. Those places are all facing budget deficits. So who you elect to be your next Pierce County executive, and their commitment to making sure Pierce County is affordable and that we have a sustainable budget is really what should be forefront in your minds with this election.
Thank you both. Good to meet you. According to the rules that Linda read, the first question will go to Ryan. Ryan. Sorry, go ahead.
The clock is still running.
I'm sorry. There you're fine.
6 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, we're good.
All right. Ryan, you've been elected as Pierce County Executive, and it's your first day. What is the first initiative or policy you plan to pursue if elected?
Well, there's so much in the first many days. I think early on we have to make sure that we have the right folks in the right chairs leading county government. There's so many different agencies and departments that deliver critical services to all of us, and so many different staff that report to the county executive. So in the first weeks, we're making sure that we have folks who are competent, ready to serve the people of Pierce County, and deliver basic core services. In the early days of our administration, we're really going to focus and send ideas to the county council around affordable housing, behavioral health, and homelessness. And these are the issues that I hear about constantly from residents, business owners, working folks. So there's going to be a whole slew of ideas that we continue to give to the county council. We need much more emergency shelter around Pierce County. Right now, Tacoma is 25% of the population, but has 80% of the homelessness services. Lakewood just opened Marine Howard Place, just off 512 and Pacific Highway. That is an example of more communities doing their part to help serve people who are experiencing homelessness. And we need to help incentivize more communities to do more things like that. So we're going to send ideas to the county council to help more folks get more folks who are living unsheltered off the streets and into emergency shelter.
Okay. Kelly, the first policy or initiative that you would pursue if elected?
I'm looking around and I see the public safety crisis that we have going on. Where Pierce County is that we have record auto thefts, we have high property crime rates, and I'm already talking to our sheriff. I think day one we start using some of the inmates in our jail to get out there and clean up the litter, the graffiti. I'm sick of the graffiti. We come up with the 100 most wanted in Pierce County, the worst offenders that are creating the greatest public safety crisis around our county and making things unsafe. It's sad to look at Tacoma that in 1994 they had a record murder rate, and to watch that come down over 30 years just to be back in that same spot that we were in 1994 before. So we have to get public safety back under control in Pierce County, and that is reflected by what it looks like out on our streets, whether there's tent encampments and trash or graffiti everywhere. Those are the things around the community that you see, and it makes people feel unsafe. When you see something covered in graffiti, like we do every day on I-5, that doesn't make a mom want to take their kids down to the park. So that absolutely has to be addressed. And we have the ability to work with our sheriff's department to take some of those folks that give them an opportunity to earn early release by helping clean up some of our communities.
Okay. According to the rules as I understood them, please correct me, the next question will start with Kelly. Kelly, the county has faced criticism for not providing enough mental health services, which is often linked to homelessness and crime. What are your thoughts on how to improve access to mental health and addiction services in Pierce County? And what role should the county government play in funding these services?
You're right. We see the homelessness, and by and large, it's fueled by drug abuse and untreated mental health. So both of those things need to be addressed. I've done the point in time count, and we see people out there that are in need. So it requires you as the county level and the executive working with local partners and state and federal partners to leverage that funding to get those initial treatments and give people that opportunity to get clean and get the treatment that they need. I would say, broadly, I'm committed to things that work, things that have been proven to have outcomes and that will reduce homelessness by getting people the treatment that they need.
Ryan, your thoughts, just to restate, to improve access to mental health and addiction services in Pierce County, and the role that the county government should play in funding these services.
Yes, so behavioral health and mental health and substance use disorder treatment are one of the major areas where it's an example of where county government helps deliver services for all of us, no matter where we live, whether we live in a city like Lakewood or Tacoma, or if we live in unincorporated Pierce County, like Parkland, Spanaway, or Key Peninsula, right? The delivery of human services, especially behavioral health services, is largely delivered and funded countywide through county government. So this is a really important question and a really important role that county government does play. When I first got on the Pierce County Council in 2021, one of my very first days, you asked about what do you do on day one. The first thing we did on day one, when I started serving on the Pierce County Council, was pass the Behavioral Health and Therapeutic Courts tax, so that we could have these local dollars to invest in mental health and substance use disorder and behavioral health programs throughout Pierce County. And now we have that revenue stream to do just that. It's how we are funding mental health co-responders to ride alongside and in cars with our sheriff's deputies. It's how we are able to double our withdrawal management or detox center at Metropolitan Development Centers, the only detox center for withdrawal management. Someone who's suffering from alcoholism or major substance abuse like fentanyl or heroin or some other drug abuse to go through medically assisted treatment and withdrawal management. This is how we're able to fund that, and I was proud to be the lead sponsor to actually double the amount of beds for our only detox center in Pierce County. So this is such an important area for us to talk about.
Thank you very much. Ryan, Pierce County has been struggling to find locations for homeless stability sites, with debates over whether funds should focus on temporary shelters or stable housing. How do you plan to address homelessness in Pierce County? And do you believe more resources should go towards temporary shelters or permanent housing solutions?
The honest answer is we need to do both. And our comprehensive plan to end homelessness says that very explicitly. We need to do both. We need to both have immediate solutions to move people who are currently living unsheltered on the streets, on their freeway overpasses, and parks and open spaces, in cars and shopping centers. On any given night, there's close to 2,000 people, and this is probably known by experts to be a significant undercount. But on any given night, there's about 2,000 people plus living unsheltered on the streets of Pierce County. So we need to do both, move folks out of unsheltered situations and into some sort of shelter, emergency shelter, and we need to build permanent housing. We need to build permanent supportive housing, and we need to build housing where people don't necessarily need supports, but it needs to be affordable. You know, building housing takes a lot of time. It's not a months-long endeavor. Building housing is a 4 to 7 year endeavor, right? All the time it takes to identify a site, finance, design, engineer, construct. It's a 4 to 7 year effort in the best of times. So we don't have 4 to 7 years to wait to bring housing solutions online. We are certainly working on housing solutions. I'm proud to be the prime sponsor of the Marine Howard Affordable Housing Act, which has generated hundreds of permanently affordable housing units. So we need to continue to do that. And we need solutions to get people off the street today. Things like tiny home villages that are relatively inexpensive, quick to stand up, that can move people off the street.
Thank you. Kelly, I'll re-ask the question. How do you plan to address homelessness in Pierce County? And do you believe more resources should go towards temporary shelters or permanent housing solutions?
Thank you for the question. So addressing homelessness, there's a variety of approaches, and I'm, like I said before, committed to those that are sustainable and show that they actually do reduce homelessness. We have some things in the works that need to be continued, and that's, you know, like our co-responders with the Sheriff's Department. The county jail ends up being the de facto largest mental health provider in the county, so ensuring that they have the resources to deal with people that come in there. But, you know, my opponent, you know, just passed an ordinance on the council to spread those tent encampments, the temporary shelters throughout the county. We've seen how that has not worked in Tacoma. You can go down to the stability site and see all along Puyallup Avenue in Tacoma where that homelessness is congregating and spilled out onto the streets. It's so unsafe down there. You can see the graffiti, you can see the fences that businesses have had to put up to try to protect their equipment and their properties. But that is not being effective at moving people out of homelessness. And we do need to have those detox sites where law enforcement may be able to drop somebody off that can detox, and the county is already in the process of beginning some of those contracts with providers that can do it. But it's also, you know, working with the state funding so that those initial sites where somebody goes for detox has a sustainable funding model. And what we've seen was the places that opened up in the county didn't have a sustainable funding model.
Thank you both. Kelly, this question begins with you. Washington ranks 5th worst in the country in housing affordability, a metric that compares median incomes to the mortgage for a median priced home. Projects like Aviva Crossing aim to address affordable housing, but rising costs continue to be a challenge. How would you work with developers, local governments, and nonprofits to ensure a mix of affordable and market rate housing is available?
I have supported measures at the legislative level that help us get at bringing more housing supply online. And we need more supply, all types of housing, you know, all ranges of housing, not just low income or entry level housing. And we could, at the same time, I think everybody agrees, yes, we need more, and we've seen the cost of housing in Pierce County outpacing that of incomes, but we know what the problem is, everybody agrees that, but we're not doing the things that it takes to get more housing online. We have an artificial barrier with the Urban Growth Act that restricts where we can build, and I think it's a mistake to further down zone areas that are buildable within the county. But also our builders need to have some quicker turnaround times on spec homes that help bring that middle housing into the market and help with that supply. By saying we support housing, yet adding additional regulation on that makes it slower and longer and more expensive to create the housing, then we're really doing people a disservice. I can't remember the exact statistic, but I think what I learned in the legislature was that for every $1,000 you raise the price of a home, you displace 5,000 families in Washington from being able to become homeowners. And We know that, yet every year that I've been in the legislature, I see additional regulation that makes it harder for people to become homeowners and get into housing in the county.
Thank you for your response. Re-asking the question, Ryan, how would you work with developers, local governments, and nonprofits to ensure a mix of affordable and market rate housing is available?
I'll offer 3 examples of things that I've worked on and that we'll continue to work on as the next county executive to help build more mixed income communities and more affordable housing. One is I was really pleased to lead the effort at the county council for what we call our workflow improvement program. That sounds really wonky. What the workflow improvement program, or the WIP, is a major initiative to bring a lot more certainty to the permitting process, specifically for residential permits at Pierce County. So we now have, we've really streamlined the process where we front-loaded, before you would have to go through the different gauntlets of getting permit review, first from the wetland specialists and then the sewer people and then the water people, and each time you would tack on another 2 weeks here and 4 weeks there, and it wouldn't be run concurrently, where everyone can do their review when they can concurrently and at the same time. And so the workflow improvement program really helped front load a lot of the review, bringing a lot better certainty to the process. And so more of that helps us bring more certainty and streamline permitting. The second idea is a multifamily tax exemption program, a way to give a tax incentive to a developer who is willing to build mixed income housing. I worked on that in the city of Tacoma extensively to build more mixed income communities, and we can do much more of that. And finally, the Green Howard Affordable Housing Act I talked about earlier is really generating thousands of new affordable housing units.
Thank you very much. Ryan, businesses have faced a difficult last 4 years with the pandemic, high inflation, and challenges in finding and developing a workforce. Federal dollars like the American Rescue Plan allocations, or ARPA, will be going away. How will you work with businesses to make sure they not only survive, but thrive?
Yeah, great question. We work with businesses or any community, but let's focus on businesses today by listening to them, by working with trusted conveners like the Chamber of Commerce in any community, who's a very trusted convener, to literally have a roundtable discussion about what's going on, what's working, what do you need from your local government, how can we be a better partner, and just ask the question, how's business? When I spend a lot of my time out and about in community, and whenever I am meeting with a business owner, a business leader, that is one of the very first questions I ask is, how's business and what can we do to be a better partner? So really listening and hearing from folks, they'll tell you a lot. Specifically the county's role in this, I hear from a lot of businesses, having an available workforce, a skilled workforce, an available workforce is so important. That means a lot of different things depending on what the industry is. For some industries, it means having a skilled workforce. And so that's, the county executive serves on Workforce Central, which is our workforce development arm in Pierce County, really charged with making sure that we're working with our community colleges to make sure we're developing a workforce that meets the demands of local companies. Another major issue I hear second to availability of skilled workforce is childcare. And I'm so pleased that I led the way on the council to appropriate funds to help start new childcare businesses and grow childcare businesses, because childcare is so needed for so many parents though to re-enter the workforce.
Thank you very much. Kelly, how will you work with businesses to ensure they not only survive, but thrive in today's environment?
All right. Well, as a small business owner, part of the reason that I ran for office to begin with was that I thought that we needed more people in Olympia, more people making decisions at the state level and all government levels, really, that have actually signed the front side of a paycheck and know what it means to operate a business. And I think having a regulatory environment that is business friendly, it just helps the county create a place that they want to do business in. I think when you originally read the question, you mentioned ARPA funds. I want to point out that, all the counties and cities have gotten a lot of the money over the last 4 years in federal funds that is going away. So depending on how that jurisdiction spent the monies, whether they made investments with one-time money on one-time investments, or they took that money and spent it on something that would create a bow wave with existing operating costs, I think we have to really be disciplined in prioritizing investing in infrastructure that helps support an environment that businesses want to come here and locate. I've done work in the legislature to focus on workforce issues just across the state with medical credentials. We have a number of shortages in a variety of fields, whether it's dentistry or radiology. But if we want to be able to grow up our own here in Pierce County of the next generation of medical providers. I was happy to work on the partnership with PLU and WSU and get them some funding to work on developing additional workforce radiology providers through TCC as well.
Thank you. Kelly, you'll start with this one. Crime rates in parts of Pierce County have been a major concern, and residents are looking for solutions to improve safety. What specific initiatives do you propose to reduce crime and enhance public safety, especially in high crime areas of Pierce County?
First and foremost, I think we know what some of the statistics are. I mentioned high property crime rates, high retail theft rates. It's sad that Washington is topping the charts on those, but we need to have a law enforcement community that is supplied and tooled with the things that they need to do their job so that they can go out and catch bad guys. Washington ranks 51st in the nation with staffing per capita, but even more locally, you can see what some of those staffing issues look like. And I think our law enforcement community wants to work for an executive that they feel supported by, which is why our sheriff, our past sheriff, Paul Pastor, that was there for 22 years, our Deputies Guild, our Tacoma Police Guild have endorsed me because they trust me to be the one assisting them to address the crime issues in our community. They don't want to feel abandoned by their elected leaders when things are tough. But you can look at staffing per capita in Washington, and you can look at some of the local jurisdictions. Seattle is one of those cities that they have not been able to make any net gains on staffing. However, Pierce County over the last 4 years has had a number of lateral transfers, officers that are coming to Pierce County because they want to work for an executive that they trust and that they know has their back and will ensure that they have the tools to do their job. So I will continue in that same vein to ensure that our sheriff's deputies have those tools to do their job.
Thank you very much. Repeating the question, Ryan, what specific initiatives do you propose to reduce crime and enhance public safety, especially in high crime areas of Pierce County?
Well, thanks for the question. There's so much. Our crime rates are such a multifaceted issue. We get a regular report from the Sheriff's Department, and we just got a report actually last week from January through the end of August that demonstrated that crime is actually considerably down throughout Pierce County, across the board. Violent crime, property crime, it is down significantly because of the hard work of many. Very grateful to the Sheriff's Department and Prosecutors Association and all the different actors in the criminal justice system that have helped us get to those numbers. Now, we're not satisfied with any amount of crime in our community, so we have a lot more work to do, but crime across the board, based on the data that the Sheriff's Department just released, is significantly down, and we should feel good about a lot of the efforts that are being implemented. So like our sheriff's law enforcement, we had about 3 years ago, we had about 65 vacancies in law enforcement, sheriff's law enforcement. We're down to about 13, which is, with the amount of attrition, retirements, folks leaving the force for various reasons, to go from about 65 down to 13 is a huge accomplishment. And I'm glad for the investments we're making there. We ask our law enforcement officers to do so many different things. So how we free them up by helping them have mental health co-responders, detox facilities, places for them to drop folks off, so that they're not doing 10 people's jobs at once is really important to their quality of life and their effectiveness.
Thank you very much. Ryan, Pierce County has to balance funding essential services with managing its budget responsibly. How would you prioritize spending in the county's budget? And what would you do to ensure fiscal responsibility while still funding critical services?
Well, I've done this as chair of the Pierce County Council. You know, the chair is the lead budget writer. I'm responsible for authoring the budget and offering a budget to my colleagues to consider. And I'm really honored that, you know, when I wrote the current 2-year budget that we are in, we got a unanimous vote by all 7 members of the Pierce County Council. I think because we've balanced the many different priorities, where we can't just do one thing, right? Local government can't be a one-trick pony. We have to both provide for an effective criminal justice system and the many aspects of the criminal justice system, which include our judges at multiple levels, district court, superior court, our prosecutors, public defense, the programs that judges really rely on to help get folks out of the cycle of crime, our therapeutic courts, our diversion programs, to help invest in people so that they actually get out of these cycles of crime. Those programs are really effective, they're evidence-based, and they take money to invest in. So there's so many different aspects to the criminal justice system. And we have to work on housing, and people demand parks and need sewers that work and streets that are not riddled with potholes, right? So the county budget is a $3.2 billion budget. We don't have the luxury of just focusing on one thing. We have to be able to both support our business climate, support safe, high quality neighborhoods and communities, and keep us safe. So, you know, I've done this as chair of the county council, and I'll continue to do it as county executive.
Thank you very much. Kelly, how would you prioritize spending in the county's budget? And what would you do to ensure fiscal responsibility while still funding critical services?
I've done this in the legislature. You know, I mentioned that I'm on the appropriations committee, and unfortunately in the legislature, there's 3 budgets. The appropriations budget, that committee is one that has not operated on the House side in a bipartisan manner. So when that budget comes out, one thing that we've done was our caucus created a budget that says, look at all this revenue that's coming in. You can fund all essential services without raising taxes, and you can actually take the surpluses that we've been given and return that to taxpayers in Washington. So when you translate that to the county budget and you look at where the revenue comes in for the county, it's primarily property taxes and sales tax. And looking back, you can see how those numbers are sort of converging, and there isn't always going to be a surplus at the county level. So that's where it really takes a lot of fiscal discipline to ensure that we're really prioritizing where spending needs to go and not creating a bow wave. I don't want to raise taxes. I'm the candidate here that doesn't want to raise taxes in the county. I don't want to triple your county property tax. I don't support that because I already see, people are already struggling under the weight of inflation and making ends meet. And I want to make sure that people have more of their own money in their pocket to keep, and that we don't create a bow wave with our budgeting process that would necessitate any kind of tax increase in the county.
Thank you. Kelly, as Pierce County continues to grow, traffic congestion and aging infrastructure remain significant challenges. What infrastructure projects or transportation improvements would you prioritize to reduce traffic congestion and support growth in Pierce County?
Thank you. I've supported a number of these things at the state level. There's a number of projects going on that impact traffic around the county. And these projects are so big. The Gateway project connecting 167 to I-5, protecting the transition there in my district in the 25th. But also we have a major county project going on, the Canyon Road project, that this has been in the work for 20 years. And I think it's really critical to ensure that we complete this project because it creates a very important freight corridor. So it helps get those trucks off of I-5 and 167, directing them from the manufacturing center in Frederickson, which the county has spent the last 20 years developing that space so that we would create an environment that employers want to come and open up and do business in Pierce County. We now have about 35,000 jobs that are dependent upon that manufacturing center, and we can do more and attract more business there if we complete that Canyon Road project and give them a dedicated road to move goods and services from the Frederickson area, those manufacturing jobs, down to our other major asset in Pierce County, which is the Port of Tacoma. There's a number of, it's an expensive project. It requires a lot of funding to come together, different buckets, both at the state and federal level, but I'm continue to working on that, and that we shouldn't delay funding for that project, because really, whether you work in the Port or Frederickson, jobs all around the county are dependent on that project completed.
Thank you. Ryan, what infrastructure projects or transportation improvements would you prioritize to reduce traffic congestion and support growth in Pierce County?
Thank you. You know, it's not very sexy to say that you believe in taking care of what you got, but it's what I believe. You know, we have a lot of infrastructure. A lot of it is in disrepair and disarray and underinvested in. I know people like to build new things. We all like to go to ribbon cuttings and like shiny new things. I do too, and I like to make sure that that what we have works and doesn't fall into Puget Sound, and that people can continue to get safely to where they need to be. So I prioritize improving the safety of our transportation system. Our transportation system is actually quite dangerous. The number of people who who get into collisions, cars on cars, cars versus pedestrians, cars versus bicyclists, trucks versus cars. It is astounding when you look at the data about how unsafe our transportation system is. So I really put a priority on retrofitting our existing system so that it is safer, so that people can walk to school, kids can walk to school, that people can get home at night from work. And I put a premium on maintaining our existing infrastructure. You know, there are bridges all across our community that are near failure. Interlochen, there's lots of bridges that are closed to all kinds of traffic, whether it's Interlochen here locally, or the Fishing Wars Memorial Bridge in Tacoma, the Day Island Bridge in University Place. There's so many major pieces of infrastructure that need to be maintained, and that's where our dollars should go.
Thank you. Ryan, we'll start with you for the next question. Washington State citizens gathered enough signatures to present 4 initiatives to the voters of Washington State. I-2124 would make the long-term care payroll tax optional instead of mandatory for Washington workers. I-2109 would repeal the capital gains tax that would eliminate the 7% tax on profits over $250,000 from the sale of assets, including stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. I-2117 would repeal the carbon tax on gasoline, home heating oil, and other forms of energy, while I-1066 would repeal a phase-in ban on natural gas access. Do you support or oppose the initiatives on the ballot this November, and how do you think they affect businesses?
Look, I oppose these initiatives because I don't particularly like making law based on initiative. It's not a way to have a lot of give and take, and I think the legislative process is a better process to make law. You can make compromise, which I've spent my public life doing. You can make better law when you're able to hear from stakeholders, bring stakeholders together to really work through the many kinks and implementation steps that are identified in any law that you are trying to create. So I'm a person that really enjoys the bringing different people together who think differently in order to work on tough challenges. I will not be supporting these initiatives. I don't think they are the right ways to move Washington forward. We need the revenues in one of the cases, especially to fund childcare and our K-12 education system and higher education, which is really significant to the future of our business community, to have a well-educated workforce For folks who are ready to roll their sleeves and work here in Pierce County and Washington State and be productive community members.
Thank you for that. Kelly, do you support or oppose the initiatives on the ballot this November? And how do you think they affect businesses?
Well, I have supported the 4 initiatives that are on the ballot, and the 1.2 million unique Washingtonian signatures that signed those initiatives that said this is our constitutionally protected right to have an initiative process in Washington, and we want these things when the legislature doesn't quite get it right. In my 6 years in public service, I would say the single biggest issue that I hear from people is about $30 car tabs. People went over and over again and said this is a thing that we want, and somehow that got derailed, that the voice of the people was not listened to. So I think there are hundreds of thousands of people that signed each one of these that are sending their elected leaders a message that you're not listening to us, so we're gonna take this constitutional right we have into our own hands and address some of these issues. The long-term care payroll tax, unfortunately, it's not a solvent system. I would stand to benefit as a long-term care provider if people had an extra $30,000 to pay for this. But the reality is $30,000 doesn't go very far. It's not really long-term care if it only lasts you about 3 months. When care is as expensive as it is. So that one needs to go back to the drawing board. What I've seen with the capital gains tax is it has really made Washington a less competitive place for businesses to locate and operate. We saw within just about a year's time, Washington going from 17th in the nation as a great place to do business to 35th. That's the wrong direction when we want to attract more businesses to Washington, not fewer.
Thank you. Final question. Kelly, currently, governments can collect 1% more annually in property tax, plus any revenues attributable to the value of new construction, without voter approval. Last session, Senate Bill 5770 proposed to raise the cap from 1% to 3%. Do you support raising the cap? Why or why not?
No, I didn't support increasing people's property tax. As was mentioned before, we've got inflation. People are just wanting to keep more of their own money so that they can survive and they can afford to live in this county and in this state. So at the same time, the state has had year after year billions of dollars of revenue surpluses that's not been returned to people. And so that's where that prioritization of budgeting is so important, is looking at what is important and sustainable and effective governance.
Thank you. Ryan, would you support raising the cap? Why or why not?
I do think local governments need the option, and our state association, Republicans, Democrats, Independents that make up our state association, banded together to try to make that case to the legislature. The work was led by Republicans in Eastern Washington who bravely testified in Olympia about the need that local government has to need the resources in order to pay for core services like sheriff's deputies, judges, prosecutors, folks who make up the criminal justice system, which in our case in Pierce County is 75% of our general fund budget. And we gave our sheriff's law enforcement officers an 18% raise in this last contract, 18% over 3 years, in order that was one of our many strategies to stem the tide of losing sheriff's deputies to Tacoma and King County and others who are paying them significantly more. You can't afford to keep up in this labor market if you can't afford to pay employees. So it's just fundamentally untrue, and just the math is just not right to say that it triples your property taxes. When you do the math, 1% versus 3% is not tripling. 300% is tripling. No one ever is talking about tripling anyone's property taxes. Our own finance department did the math, and if you went to the entire 3%, you don't have to take the entire 3%, but if you did, it would mean the average homeowner in Pierce County would pay $9 more a year. $9 more a year, not per month, per year. That's what the math comes out to. And so we have to juggle and balance a lot of things. in local government, pay for a lot of core services.
Thank you very much. Linda, if I understood the rules, since Ryan gave the first opening statement, Kelly will be providing her closing statement first. Kelly?
All right, well, thank you for putting this on. I just want to thank you to everyone for coming out, and it's just really been an honor to participate in the Lakewood Chamber Forum, because you guys do this every cycle, and I appreciate it. I'm looking to be your Pierce County executive. We've laid out some of the issues for you and what the future of Pierce County looks like. Do we continue to have a vibrant economy that attracts businesses here and creates jobs that we need for people to live? Do we build the housing that we need so that other people can become homeowners and achieve the American dream and afford to live in this county? There's a lot at stake. Do you get to keep your own money, or do you want to hand it over to the county to do with it that they wish, and not allow you to keep that money in your pocket? Do you want to have energy choice with how you heat your home and what it looks like when you fill up your gas tank? There's a lot of things at stake, not just in this race, but on the rest of the ballot. So I would be honored to have your vote and be honored to serve as your next Pierce County executive.
Thank you so much. Ryan?
Well, thank you again, Tim, for facilitating our conversation tonight. Thanks everyone for your interest in who serves as our next Pierce County executive. You know, I've spent my time as an adult here in this community really making our community better. Working at organizations like Cascade Land Conservancy to help protect local farms and forests and build more parks and open spaces, to help protect what many of us, I think, believe makes this place in the world that we all choose to call home so amazing. That's what I've dedicated a lot of my life to, is helping to continue to protect the quality of life, and the reason many of us choose to continue to call this place home. And you know, I've focused my time in local government, whether it be on the Tacoma City Council or on the Pierce County Council, really working on the toughest challenges that face us. I don't shy away from tough challenges, and I don't think that the tough challenges that are facing us have bumper sticker solutions to them. They don't have 30-second soundbite solutions to them. And I don't think we have Democrat potholes and Republican potholes, or independent behavioral health crises and Republican independent behavioral health crises. These issues at the local level need folks who are serious lawmakers, who are willing to roll up their sleeves, bring people together from many different backgrounds to help tackle the issues that are really facing us. And again, that's why I've earned the support from Democrats, Republicans, and independents. People like Jason Whalen, the mayor here in Lakewood, independent Javier Figueroa, mayor of University Place, Kim Roscoe, longstanding, well-respected independent mayor of Fife, Marilyn Strickland, our congresswoman here, Derek Kilmer, very well-respected bipartisan leader, the Prosecutors Association, the folks who hold criminals accountable in Pierce County are solely endorsing our campaign, and every firefighter organization that is endorsed in this campaign has endorsed me because they've worked with me in my time in public life to solve tough problems. They know my work ethic, they know how hard I work, they know that I bring people together from varied backgrounds. Whether they historically agree with me or not, I do not have all the answers. And I believe in bringing people together who think differently than me, who have different experiences than me, to learn from them, bring them together to help tackle the really tough issues. And we have really serious issues here at the local level. I'm not running to be in the state legislature or to run a state initiative. I'm running to really address homelessness, affordable housing, our behavioral health crisis and the related opioid epidemic, and continue to make strides to continue to drive down crime like we've begun to experience here in Pierce County and make our community safer. Those are the issues I'm going to continue to stay focused on and work on as the next county executive, and bring folks from all stripes together to help address those issues. So thanks for your time and interest today.
On behalf of the Lakewood Chamber of Commerce, we would like to thank both of the candidates for participating in tonight's events. It is so important that the voters can hear directly from you, and we sincerely appreciate both of you making the time to be here. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a round of applause.
once again, let's give it up for these two wonderful candidates. I think what we'll do is go ahead and take a 5-minute break if you want to refresh yourselves with something to drink, a little snack.